Yes, fight fans, body and mind, sports, my people. You are fully appreciated in this round, my guys, my people. Let's get right into it. So, as we know, post-fight, Nick Bull losing his WBA featherweight strap to Brandon Figueroa. Figueroa's trainer, Manny Robles, he made a revelation that sparked suspicions that they might have been cheating in this fight, my guys, my people. When Robles, he revealed that he and other members of Team Figueroa were denied access to witness the hand wrapping process of Nick Bull. Despite that, an agreement was made with Team Nick Bull and the board alongside the WBA. This agreement was made pre-fight at the Fight Rules meeting that both teams, both fighters will be given the opportunity to witness each other's hand wrappings. Despite this agreement, their demands were not upheld, my guys, my people. And that being the case, Manny Robles, they feel very disrespected. Team Figueroa feel very disrespected by the actions that were taken. And Robert Smith of the board, they have had time to address the situation. And first of all, Robert Smith, he dispels every notion, every suspicion that there was cheating in this fight, my guys, my people, and goes on to say that the only reason why Team Figueroa were denied access was simply because they were late to the hand wrapping of Nick Bull, that they did not arrive at the pre-arranged and scheduled time that they were supposed to arrive in, right, to commence the witnessing of Nick Bull's hand wrapping. So at that point, Nick Bull and his team, they opted out. They opted out and informed the WBA and of course the board, who sided with Team Nick Bull, and they ended up witnessing the hand wrapping of Nick Bull without the presence of a team member from Figueroa. So the hand wrapping was witnessed by the board and the WBA, who passed it to be in accordance with the rules of the sport, my guys, my people. And the board, they also added that Team Figueroa were actually happy with the process at the time, you know, the process that took place, you know, that they were actually happy. So I'm kind of finding it difficult here to decide who's actually right. For one, because it is not as if it is actually mandatory for fighters to witness their opposition's hand wrapping. It is not mandatory. However, if it is something that has already been agreed upon pre-fight, as Robles claims it was agreed upon at the Fight Rules meeting, then in that case, it is usually upheld. You know, the agreement is usually upheld, especially in high-profile fights as this one. There was the WBA strap on the line on this one, my guys, my people. So I don't know. I'm thinking maybe despite the fact that Team Figueroa were late in attendance to watch the hand wrapping, by how much time were they late by, right? Because surely it couldn't have been by too much, and the opportunity to witness the hand wrapping or Nick Bull to hand wrap, right, would have been there. The opportunity would have been there. Or is it just a case that you can't even be late by even a fraction of a minute, my guys, my people? I don't know. Whatever the case, I really don't know. Or do you agree that the board and the WBA are 100% correct to make an example of Team Figueroa for not being punctual? Because that is another matter, isn't it, my guys, my people? But you guys decide. I'm gonna leave this one to you guys. But one thing, whatever you decide, I think we should all agree on, right? That there was every opportunity here given by the board and the WBA for Nick Ball as the champion to have every psychological advantage going into this fight, my guys, my people. Because for Manny Robles to bring this hand wrapping issue to the forefront of things, despite that this is a fight that his fighter, Figueroa, actually won, you know, via stoppage. He won it decisively via a 12th round stoppage of Nick Ball, my guys, my people. So despite the result of this fight and Robles bringing this to the forefront of things, goes to show that it was something that was of real concern in Figueroa's camp ahead of this fight, my guys, my people. And you can imagine how much really they were concerned, because they also accused Robles accused that Team Nick Ball were actually late, 1 hour late to the official weigh-ins, my guys, my people. So yeah, you make of the situation what you say ultimately, my guys, my people. Make of the situation what you think, my guys, my people. Now, with that said, moving on, what's gonna happen with Nick Ball next? I think we can all predict that he's gonna need some long, healthy rest to recoup, and as well as try to reinvent himself as a fighter. Because what I got from the fight itself, it's not good news for Nick Ball, who I believe that usually he's the fighter that beats his opposition with volume, that sets the pace of the fight. And then for the very first time, we have an opposition in Figueroa who has as great as you know, as good as Ball in terms of conditioning, and he was able to outlast Nick Ball. Nick Ball wasn't just beaten by that punch alone in the 12th round. It was the fatigue, isn't it? It was the fatigue. So he was outlasted, right? And I think that somewhat has, you know, yeah, has shown the blueprint to other fighters on how to beat Nick Ball. And I think any fighter out there that has the sort of skills that can replicate where you know, Figueroa did, where he was able to outwork Nick Ball and set the pace of the fight, then those fighters would feel that they have the beating of Nick Ball, my guys, my people. It will give a lot of confidence to the champions in the divisions. If ever Nick Ball wants to become champion again, which I'm sure he will, right? Or even to the top contenders in the division, my guys, my people. It's going to get harder for Nick Ball, not easier, ultimately, is what I'm trying to say. And that loss has cost him dearly. The Naya Inoue fight, which may or may not have been on the table, I think we can clearly say now that is surely off the table, if ever it was, my guys, on the table in the first place. So it's off the table now, my guys, my people. And also maybe the opportunity to have unified with Bruce Shushu Carrington, who is now the WBC champion in the division after going through adversity himself, and going on to stop Carlos Castro in the 12th round. Actually in the 9th round, right? And he was targeting the winner of this fight. So for sure now we can say that he will now be targeting to unify with Brandon Figueroa. Shushu Carrington, who has a common opponent in Castro with Figueroa now. You know, Figueroa made easy work of him, I would say. Stopped him, I believe, in the 7th or 9th round. Whereas Shushu did have to come through some adversity, but he ultimately stopped Castro too in the 9th round. So it will be interesting to see what type of a fight it will be between those two fighters. But of course, they have other options, other champions in the division that they can unify with. We've got Rafael Espinosa, right, with Brandon Figueroa. That would be a great all-Mexican unification about there. Angelo Leo is also there, another Mexican with the IBF strap, my guys, my people. So there are some great fights that can be made involving both Shushu Carrington and Figueroa, either respectively or together in a matchup, my guys, my people. Yeah, let's see what becomes of the featherweight division. Okay, now with that said, in this actual fight card, it's quite a shame that Andrew Kane, who I thought put up the performance of the night, the fight of the night, in fact, right, his performance was in fact marred by the post-fight violence, you know, the violence that ensued post-fight of Nick Ball and Figueroa, where there's video footage showing Andrew Kane having a kick at a team member of Team Figueroa, right? Which is crazy, but all in all, his performance on the night though was absolutely brilliant, you know, coming off the canvas twice in the 8th round to, you know, drop his opposition. Is it Alejandro? Yeah, Alejandro Gonzalez, you know, to drop Gonzalez twice in the 9th round and to get the stoppage. Crazy. But there was good fortune on the side of Andrew Kane though, because in that second droppage in the 8th round, he was saved by the bell, isn't it? But good that he showed good enough recovery to not only recover but stop his opposition, and he is in a great position now, you know, in the bantamweight division, because beating Gonzalez, well, that was the final eliminator to the WBC champion Takumi Inoue, brother of Naya Inoue, my guys, my people. So he's in there with the top echelon of the division, so into the big fights of the division, my guys, my people. Let's see what he can make of it. You know, never really seen Takumi Inoue fight, if I'm truly honest. But this is a great opportunity if they can make that fight, right? If they can actually make that fight. Now, with that said, right, let's move on. I want to talk about Sky Sports. And MVP Promotions, they now have a new long-term deal, and as part of that new long-term deal, they have their first fight, you know, that they have scheduled for the 5th of April to take place at the Kensington Olympia, and headlined by Caroline Dubois, and Caroline Dubois versus Terri Harper. It is a WBC WBO unification in the women's lightweight division, and an all women's fight card, my guys, my people. Now, Sky, this is not only the first all women's fight card since you know, separating with Boxer, but it's their first fight since separating with Boxer. It's the first fight that brings them back into the world of boxing, my guys, my people. And what a time for them to return back to women's boxing, because I would say that one of the real success stories in the union of Sky and Boxer was in fact to do with women's boxing, especially when under Sky and Boxer, Clarissa Shields and Savannah Marshall had their undisputed unification, about which you know, Clarissa Shields walked away with the undisputed titleage in the middleweight division. So that was monumental for Sky and Boxer. That event actually was the first all-women's fight card in modern times in boxing, and it broke viewership records as well. So yeah, that was a high time, you know. So what a great time for them to return to that which they know, women's boxing, and the fact that they're with MVP Promotions, which more or less has a monopoly on all the female champions currently, with the exception of Katie Taylor, Clarissa Shields, and Lauren Price, who are still with their respective promotions, so not fighting for MVP Promotions. Other than that, there's a lot of in-house fights here for Boxer and Sky to make together. So no real competition out there in terms of women boxing for Sky and MVP Promotions. So it's a good time for Sky to enter this with MVP Promotions. Did I mention Boxer? That was in the past, my guys. We're talking MVP Promotions, my guys, my people. So yeah, it's a great time for them to return. And you know, the main event, as you heard, Caroline Dubois in the unification versus Terri Harper. It is WBC, WBO unification, respectively, in the lightweight division. And Terri Harper somewhat feels very, very overlooked and disrespected by Caroline Dubois. For Dubois not really acknowledging what Harper has done so far in the sport of boxing, and she being the vastly more experienced fighter as well. She is a 3-division champion, you know, that has claimed titles all the way from super featherweight to lightweight, and has even claimed a title at 154 pounds. So we're talking junior middleweight, right? So she's moved around the divisions, and she's experienced. She's also the bigger fighter, the taller fighter anyway, as it looks. And so she is taking this personally, you know. She is looking beyond the titles, and she's just urged on by, you know, the possibility of getting a hold of Caroline Dubois and teaching her a real lesson. She feels that her pressure and volume would get to Caroline Dubois. Let's see, because Caroline Dubois, she not only can she box, she can fight. She can fight, my guys, my people. And it is true, Caroline Dubois is overlooking Terri Harper. She believes that Terri Harper is irrelevant. That despite from Terri Harper having a title, which she has to collect, she sees this as easy work, and she will go on to become undisputed, she says, by the end of 2026. So she has to get past the other champions, the WBA champion for one, Stephanie Han, and the IBF champion in Elif Nurturhan as well, my guys, my people. Now in the undercard, we have Ellie Scottney looking to become the youngest undisputed champion on British soil in the full belt era, and she's going up against WBA Mexican champion in the super bantamweight division. She goes by the name Mayela Flores, and this is going to be fantastic if Scottney is able to achieve her dream, as she remembers how long it actually took her to get a title shot, and now she's close to becoming undisputed. She can't let it slip, my guys, my people. Let's see whether she can actually do it on the night. Great matchup, by the way. And then we have Chantel Cameron against Michaela Kataskova in the junior middleweight division, and the WBO vacant strap is on the line here, and a opportunity for Cameron to become a 2-division champion. She was formerly a undisputed champion at the junior welterweight division. That championship was snatched away from her from Katie Taylor. But the first attempt by Katie, she actually failed. So they are one apiece in their two meetings, my guys, my people. Crazy to imagine that there's somebody out there that has beaten Katie Taylor on record in the pro rankings. My guys, my people. Well, Chantel Cameron has done it. Let's wait and see whether she can do it against Michaela and become a two-division champion, my guys. My people, I say, let's get it. But then further down the fight card, we have UK's Emma Dolan, and she's facing IBF Mexican fighter in Irma Garcia. Emma Dolan, my guys, my people. This is a good matchup for her. This is a good matchup for her, my guys, my people. And let's see what she can do, my guys. But this is a great fight card overall. As we can see, MVP Promotions with Sky once again have a stacked fight card of championship fights to begin with. So trying to emulate what they had done before with the women that they have on their roster in the Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor free fight card. 3 fights in total by Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor. But 2 of those fights were actually showcased on Netflix, my guys, my people, which of course garnered a lot of viewership, recognition, exposure for a lot of the female fighters on the MVP roster, my guys, my people. So this is an opportunity for MVP Promotions and Sky to build upon what MVP has already started with his women's fighters on Netflix, my guys, my people. And they virtually have no competition in this realm of women's boxing. With MVP, like I said, almost have a monopoly on all the champions in the realm of women boxing, my guys, my people, with a handful only of champions, including Katie Taylor, Clarissa Shields, and Lauren Price, who are still signed to other promotions outside of MVP, my guys, my people. But this is a good look for Sky. This is a good look for Sky, who news was reported in December that they are also in talks with Zuffa Boxing, and it is expected that Zuffa Boxing will soon also be announcing a partnership with Sky, who want to buy the broadcasting rights for Zuffa Boxing over here in the UK, my guys, my people. So Sky are up to some real specific moves in the sport of boxing. Yeah, let's see what happens. What's happened with those talks? I haven't been hearing anything about Zuffa Boxing and Sky lately. So I wonder if those talks are still ongoing, or they are just happy with dealing with Paramount Plus, which has the broadcasting rights with Zuffa in the US and over Latin America and Canada, my guys, my people. But yeah, that's all I have for you on this one, my guys, my people. Before you leave, do like, do share, subscribe. Of course, drop your comments below, my guys, my people. And as always, stay super blessed. And thanks for watching. We out of here.